welcome in. Today we're going to talk about some tips for working night shift. I have 10 tips. I have almost been working 1 year on night shift full time, and this is a pretty big deal for me in my opinion. I'm not old, but I feel like too old to be working night shift, you know what I mean? And we'll get more into it, but just kind of the effects that it has on the body. So anyways, I've worked night shift one time before, and I actually started a blog post, but then I was like, oh, that's silly. Nobody needs tips for working night shift. But here I am now, I think that was maybe 5 years ago. Here I am now, and I really do feel that some tips will be helpful if you are considering working night shift in a hospital, in any healthcare profession. So let's get into what my schedule is. I currently work 4 nights a week from 8 p.m. to 5 a.m. And I love my schedule because it allows me to be able to pick my kids up from school, take my kids to school, see my family as much as I can. I leave for work right around bedtime, and I get home before anybody's awake, so I'm able to make their lunches and get their backpacks back and get everything together. And also I ended up buying a treadmill for my house, and I work out at home. I love the treadmill that I got, and it was pretty affordable, so I'll leave a link in the description if you are interested in getting one as well. So anyways, that's my schedule. Like I said, I work 4 nights a week. So that means I have three nights off. Who knows? I don't really ever feel like it's actually off time unless it's consecutive days. Schedule isn't always consecutive. I have to balance off of another person right now. So some days I'll work, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and then the next week it might be Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. It changes every single week. So it's hard to have a set schedule. It's hard to have consistency. But let's get into this video so I can share the things that have helped me over this past year working night shift. Number 1, this is so obvious, and sometimes I hate giving obvious advice, but let's have the reminder. The number 1 thing is to prioritize your body. So by that I mean getting good sleep, eating healthy, working out. According to so many studies, working night shift is not good on your body. It can put you more at risk for several cardiovascular things, several body related things. So for me, going into night shift, my health was a big priority. There were times where I would kind of change my diet around and make sure I was eating way healthier than I normally would just because I'm working night shift. So definitely changing how you eat. If you're somebody who eats a lot of junk food, no shame in your game, but it's gonna make you feel more sluggish. It's gonna make you feel more tired. It's gonna make the transition from back and forth a lot more difficult. Another thing I'm prioritizing your body is focusing on daily movement. When I first got into night shift, I wasn't always so focused on making sure I worked out because it was just really hard to balance everything, honestly. But now I feel a little bit more okay, I got this. I can schedule my workouts on these days. And like I said earlier, I bought a treadmill. So when I get home from work at around 5:40, from 5:40 to 6:05, so just 25 minutes usually, I walk on the treadmill, or I'll try and run. I'm not a runner though, so let's be real, I'm power walking on an incline. And sometimes I'll just look at videos or finish whatever book I was reading. But yeah, I've made it a point to walk every single day, whether it's on the treadmill, whether it's at work, just making sure I'm moving my body around. I also got a Pilates membership, and I go to Pilates twice a week. I would love to go more, but it's just so hard to fit it into my schedule and balance everything. So number 1, prioritize your body. Number 2 is going to be prioritizing your mind. This is one I didn't know. I did not know how much night shift mentally messes with you. And I went through some ups and downs in my mental health, and I don't know if it's from working night shift or it's just because who I am as a person, but there were times where I would catch myself feeling more sad and more lonely, because it is a very lonely thing. And my job in particular, I'm the only person in my department on night shift, so I sit in an office by myself, which I love, but also it can be kind of isolating. I had to make sure I was really prioritizing my mind. Once I realized wow, you get more sad working night shift, I finally was okay, what can we do about this? Things that I think can be helpful, and obviously whatever helps increase your mental health in a positive way is what I would recommend doing, but things that I feel that can be super helpful: therapy, journaling, affirmations, little reminders. Sometimes I would leave myself little sticky notes around my house to kind of motivate me before I went to work. And also just listening to uplifting music as I drove to work. I have a playlist, or several playlists, but I have one playlist in particular that is just like, get you hyped. It's like, you are that girl, like you're going to work, you know what I mean? So things like that I found to be really helpful in prioritizing my mind. Okay, number 3, get some sunlight when you can. Fortunately, I do get some sunlight from, right now I wake up on school days around 2:30, 3 o'clock because I have to pick up my kids from school. So whenever I'm sitting in that nice little pickup line, I get so much sun in that moment. Also, I'll try and go for a walk with my family or walk my dog if I can with my family in between picking them up and going to work. But no matter what, even if it's sitting in the backyard, walking to your mailbox, like go outside and get some sun. It helps tremendously. I think another thing that can add to that, somber feeling working night shift is when you are awake all night, you're alone, it's a lonely feeling, you can't really text anybody, any of that type of stuff. It's dark the entire time. Then you drive home, you barely get any sunlight, and then you wake up again and it's dark and it's time to go to work. It's like the darkness, you know what I mean, that whole time. So at any point, if you can just either stay up later, wake up earlier, anything like that to get some sunlight into your daily routine, it will be so helpful. It'll be so helpful. Truly, I feel like the sunlight just heals, you know what I mean? Vitamin D or whatever, right? Number 4 is to decrease caffeine as early in the night as possible. So I learned how caffeine works on my body and kind of how long it takes for me to feel sleepy after drinking it. So I usually have a cup of coffee on my way to work, if not finishing it around 10 to 12 o'clock. So it really just depends, but somewhere between 6 o'clock and midnight is when the only times I'll drink coffee, and that's it. And I think if you start to think of night shift as reverse of day shift, because it's like very similar, like if I work day shift, 6 a.m. to noon is when I would drink coffee as well. But if I drink coffee anytime after noon or after midnight, then it's harder for me to get to sleep, and I usually go to sleep at 8 a.m. So I cut my caffeine off 8 hours before I go to sleep, no matter what day it is, no matter what time I'm going to sleep. If I'm like, oh, I actually will be staying up later today, then I adjust it that way. Or if I know I'm going to be going to sleep earlier, because on weekends when my husband's home, I can go to sleep as soon as I walk in the door, which is so nice. Number 5 is to make a schedule for how you'll adjust your meal times. This one's still kind of tricky for me. So I'm still navigating how to eat does impact how you're eating. So I try and eat, breakfast as soon as I wake up. Right now I'm only getting 6 to 7 hours of sleep. I used to get more, but on my off days, I do sleep like a normal. Making sure I drink a lot of water as well. I mean, hear me out. I know this sounds crazy. You're probably thinking like, babe, I'm not changing how I eat. But it truly, truly, truly does change the way you feel during the shift. Like I did this same thing, like tweaked how I was eating a year ago during because I do it during like right before holiday season. I did it a year ago, and I remember never feeling tired. Like I never felt sluggish. I had so much energy. I felt great. And as y'all may or may not know, that is kind of how it goes when you're eating sugar or not eating sugar. So anyways, right now I'm still navigating how I'm going about meal times, but I have been planning a little bit better throughout the week, and I would definitely recommend this for other people as well. Number 6 is to bring activities. This is one of my favorite parts of working night shift. There are moments where there's some downtime. I'm not gonna say it's slower. Like, let's just be real. It's slower, okay? So I have on my Kindle, I bring my Kindle and I read. Occasionally, it just depends on the book. Obviously my cell phone, obviously on social media, obviously, catching up on any type of podcast, anything like that during the shift. I also would bring a book of puzzles, like an actual book of puzzles that I get from Target. I love this book. I love it. keeps the mind sharp, and I'm not looking at a screen. That's like one helpful thing, is like not looking at a screen for a little bit. At one point I was like scrapbooking. I bring my journal and I journal, so if I'm ever feeling sad at work, I journal about it at work. So I would definitely say have some activities, have something that you can do on the side so you don't ever feel like bored or ever feel like the night's dragging. I'm not gonna lie, lately I've been so busy I don't even have time to do anything, but I always bring it just in case. Number 7 is I would recommend you getting your steps in. No matter what type of night job you have, like people, I mean, I don't know, it sounds silly, but like I've started walking laps around my hospital, around the lobby floor. No one's there. It's amazing. It's also kind of spooky, but nobody's in the hospital. So it's like, you can just walk around and not feel weird for it. So some days I'll just walk and walk and walk and look at everything. Or on my unit, when I know rooms are about to call me or anything like that, I just walk the circle around the unit multiple times. And it seems very silly, but I know it's good for like my heart, it's good for my body. It's good for me to not feel like I'm gonna fall asleep. So I think it's just really helpful to get your steps in when you're at work. Another thing I do, and a lot of people will be like, that is crazy, is I read on my Kindle while I'm doing it. And I love it. I got so many books read that way. So 10 out of 10 recommend. Number 8 is to save all of your podcasts or favorite albums or anything that gets you like hyped for your drive home. I sometimes will listen to the more, not boring podcasts, but like more or slower or like softer things before work, like slow songs, weepy songs, sad songs, that type of stuff you listen to before work. I still listen to the hype up stuff before work, but I'm saying like save all the slower things for being at home or before work. When you're driving home, you're gonna want to be getting hype in your car. You're gonna want to be turning up in that car. You're going to want to listen to something that's going to make you laugh, make you think, make you go, oh my gosh, like something like that. So I always put the funniest podcast for my drive home, or the best music that I can like scream and sing and just get super hyped, depending on how long your commute is, obviously. But for me, it is a very long drive, so I just want to make sure I'm alert the whole time. Fortunately, after a whole year, I have felt great. I have not once, like knock on wood, have not once felt tired, and I think it is just because I do get adequate sleep before, and I caffeinate as well. So listening to these albums, I always come home still like full of energy. I'm like, yeah. So highly recommend doing that as well. Number 9 goes with one of my previous videos, and I'll link it below, but the video will also pop up at the end of this video. I would make sure to get every single sleep aid that you can get that will be beneficial for you. So for me, eye mask, sound machine, cool blankets, fan in the room. Sometimes I'll use a weighted blanket. I take magnesium, and I actually, from the last video, switch which magnesium I'm taking. So magnesium, read a little bit before bed, do a little stretch, take the best shower. Whatever it works for you to go to sleep, I would highly recommend that. But no matter what, something that darkens the room and blocks out the daytime sound. Also, I think I mentioned in the other video, do not disturb. Do not disturb on your phone. And then set it to where the certain people who need to be able to reach you are able to reach you. But get your sleep right. Last one is gonna be socialize when you can. Like I said, working night shift can be so isolating. It can be so lonely. I'm really grateful that the way that my schedule works, I still do get some time to talk to some people during the day. But I would also highly recommend, talking to your coworkers, like getting to know them, hanging out with them a little bit at work. I'm not saying like change your whole life, but you know what I mean? Like talk to people, because that is honestly the only time you can. There were some months where I was still trying to figure out how to balance everything, that the only people I saw were the people that I lived with and the people that I worked with. And not months, but like a couple of weeks. And that was really hard on me, especially because like obviously social media, I can see so many people getting together, having fun. I'm starting to get FOMO, you know what I'm saying? So like now I've kind of prioritized like, okay, I know this is a good week for socializing. I know this is a good week for socializing. Also, when I see my coworkers, sometimes I stop and I'm like, my coworkers, as in like the nurses on the floor, because like I said, I'm the only one in my department there, but obviously I work alongside the nurses. So whenever I see them, there's some great nurses at the hospital where I work now. I love to like stop and talk with them and just kind of see how their lives are going and just listen to, you know, what they talk about. I realize that socializing is something that has helped my mental health at work. Like, I would not say I'm an extrovert by any means, but I'm also not an introvert. I really feel as though I love to listen to people and like get to know people and hang out with people. But I also love my alone time. So those are my 10 tips for working night shift. If you choose to work night shift, I think I might do a video on the pros and cons of night shift, because I love working night shift, question mark. Like, I love it, I think, but I also know how it negatively impacts my life, and I don't love those things. But ultimately, for the season that I'm in, this is where I need to be. And so I'm thankful for my job, and I'm thankful for my hours and those type of things. So yeah, that's working night shift in a nutshell. And I hope this video is helpful for you. If you have any questions, you know you can comment below. If you have any comments, obviously comment down below. Please like this video. Please share this video. Please subscribe. And if there's any other videos or lactation related information that you want to know, comment down below and I will make that video. Thanks for watching.